Welcome to the Future of Diversity, a guest chef program inviting chefs and food and beverage specialists of color to showcase their talent and passions at Osteria La Spiga. My name is Sabrina Tinsley, and I'm the executive chef and co-owner of Osteria La Spiga. And we have a wonderful and exciting program planned for you this evening. As you all know, it's a mezcal course with a dinner paired with it. So I would like to start by introducing our guest this evening. Yesenia Pimentel is a Master Mezcalier tuning in from Zihuatanejo, Mexico. Welcome, Yesenia.
Hola, hi everybody. I'm very happy to see everybody, and just let me know any time if you have questions or if something with my English is not clear, so I can drink mezcal and my language is gonna be better. So let me know.
Wonderful. Your English is great, by the way, so I am not worried. Also joining us this evening is Ana Sainz, who is currently the marketing lead for content and programs at Metropolitan Market, but she's also a chef and wears many hats in the community. Welcome, Ana.
Thank you, Sabrina. It's an honor to be part of the program.
Wonderful. So I just wanted to mention briefly about the meal that you have this evening. The plan is that you will enjoy the meeting after the program, but we provided heating instructions in the kit for the program or for afterwards. And I wanted to allow Ana a moment to tell us a little bit about the menu that we are offering.
Thank you, Sabrina. So the plan of the menu for tonight, the challenge was to make a menu that will pair with the mezcal. So I created a menu that brings some elements like the orange in the ceviche. We added a little bit of orange to a more classic Acapulco style ceviche, just to bring that combination of orange and mezcal together. The second course is a mole. One of the main places for mezcal is Oaxaca in Mexico, and Oaxaca has 7 different types of mole. So tonight we're going to have a green mole to go with your meal as well. The tortillas of the main course are from a small company in Seattle that is doing tortillas the traditional way. They're nixtamalizing their corn with organic corns and local corns and grinding it and making the tortillas there. So that's a very cool project as well. And then for dessert, I picked flavors of the black mole. The black mole is a combination of chiles, nuts, seeds, spices, and it's finished with chocolate. So we have a chocolate infused chipotle infused chocolate brownie, and it's served with a mezcal creme anglaise. So I hope you enjoy it.
I can't wait to try everything, Ana. Thank you so much for preparing that and taking the time with us today. I'm so looking forward to that dinner.
Thank you, Sabrina. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. So during the course, I will ask everybody to stay muted. We will have time for Q&A at the end. There will be an opportunity also to share your thoughts about the different flavors of the mezcals once we come to the tasting portion of the course. And we may, if we have enough time, we may ask you to unmute at that point and you can share your experience as you're tasting it. Otherwise, please stay muted. And let's see, what else did I want to mention? As far as like how the class is going to be run, Yesenia is going to talk about all the different type of agaves that are available for mezcal making. She'll talk about the process of mezcal, and then we'll go into the tasting portion. I think that's the flow, but Yesenia's got it, so she'll switch things up if necessary. We will have a PowerPoint presentation that will be run by Trisha, and Will is with us this evening. Thank you, Will, for being here. And he will be monitoring the chat. So if there is a pertinent question for right here and now, then he'll definitely chime in and we'll get your question answered. Otherwise, we'll wait till the very end. Let's see, in your kit, so as far as your setup for tasting, you will want to have all four of the mezcals out. You'll want to have your orange sliced, your apple sliced. You'll have your grasshopper sea salt, the sal de chipulín. You'll want to have that available to sprinkle on the orange slices. You'll want to have your instant coffee ready to sprinkle on the apple slices. You'll want your placemat out, your aroma wheel, maybe you'll want to have that handy. And also we provided a little, a tasting note pamphlet. So if you wanted to take your notes, you want to get a pen, you can write in your notes right on the little pamphlet that we provided. Let's see what else. On the heating instructions, there is a little QR code. We did interviews earlier this week with both of our guests. And if you want to watch that interview, you can access it through the QR code that's on the heating instruction that's included in your kit. And I believe that is everything. So without further ado, I would love to pass it over to Yesenia, and she can guide us through the wonderful process of mezcal.
Okay, I'm ready. I hope everybody is ready with their orange and apples and everything. And you have everybody hope you have your glasses for the mezcal, which is very important, of course. So before you have the mezcal in the glasses, or before you taste, you have to hear me. You have to hear the whole explanation, unfortunately, and then you will taste. So I'm gonna be explaining first the different types of agaves, the classification of mezcal, the process of making mezcal, and then you will see photos of the whole process, so you can really understand. If my words are not clear, I'm sure when you see the photos you will understand much better, and write down any question that you may have, and we are gonna answer at the end, Sabrina said. And so let's start with the slices of the varieties or types of agaves. So yeah, that's first, those are the mezcal that we're gonna try. We're gonna taste first the espadín, which is on this picture, is the first on the left top, on the corner on the left. That's the espadín that we are going to try first. Then the second one is going to be the other corner below, the Leyendas Cupreata from Guerrero, my state. And then we're going to go and taste the Gusto Histórico Tepestate from Oaxaca, that one. And at the end, the Quiche from Oaxaca. The four mezcals that you will taste today are very different. The agaves are totally different one from the other. It's like having Cabernet, Pinot Noir, Malbec, and maybe a Merlot. So it's kind of and at some point you may find similar aromas or flavors, but are very different. So you will find it out. So those are the mezcals that we are gonna taste. And so yeah, you want to go back, Trisha, to you have the slices of orange and the apples, and so I didn't cut it right, like maybe Anna will do it as a chef, but that's the way I did it. I cut it. The apples doesn't look very pretty, but tastes good. But you did it, you do it as the best way you can do, okay? And then now we can go, Trisha, please, to the first, the most important, in order that you understand everything here. I'm very sure that you have tried tequila, for example, and you may know that tequila is made from one type of agave that is called blue agave or blue tequilana or blue or agave azul in Spanish. And in fact, in this slide is on the right, on your right hand, Trisha, the one that looks blue a little bit, that's the tequilana. That's the type of agave that is used for tequila. That's the only agave for tequila, okay? Tequilana, that's the only one. As you see, there are many others. There are in fact around 200 types. In Mexico, there are almost 198. Every day are finding a new one, so that's why it goes. I put it 150, but now there are more, 198 almost in Mexico. But 40 of those are used for mezcal. So here start to be very interesting because depending on the type of agave, is gonna be the character of the mezcal that you will have. There are agaves that are growing very, very slowly. One agave is ready for harvest from 7 years to 35 years. Imagine that. For example, the first one that you see on the slide is the angustifolia. That's the espadín that we are gonna try first. Angustifolia. That agave, agaves are growing everywhere. Mexico, in fact, the Mojave Desert is infected of agave as well. If United States wants to make mezcal, you can do it. You can make mezcal, but because Mexico has the denomination of origin, like Champagne has their regulation for Champagne, you can make any agave liquor because you have agaves, but you are not able to call it mezcal or tequila. You should call it distilled liquor from agave. So yes, there are agaves in the whole world. In fact, Venezuela, South America is making other liquors made from agave, different types of agaves, following similar process for our mezcal. But yes, there are many agaves everywhere, and I don't want to talk too much about the diversity because I think it's gonna be a point maybe where we are gonna be buying agaves from South America maybe. I hope not. There are starting big programs to keep the some agaves in order that they don't disappear. There are programs in Mexico that are taking care of the types of agaves, the ones that are taking longer times, for example. But anyway, you see how different are even the shapes of the leaves, the sizes, the colors. So one agave, the first one that we are going to try needs only 7 years to be ready for harvest. Then if we go to the middle one, bottom, agave potatorum or agave cupreata, the one that we are going to taste, is on the lower row, the third one, Cupreata, that one. That's the second agave that we're going to try. That particular agave is growing mostly in Guerrero, my state, here in Zihuatanejo is located in Guerrero. So Cupreata means to my state Guerrero like Malbec to Argentina. Doesn't mean that it's not growing in other places in Mexico, but because our weather conditions, I'm talking about the mountain, not the coast where I'm living, but the mountainside where agaves are growing, the altitude, the ambience, and the sun direction and the soil are giving special characteristics to this agave to be growing with different in a different way than in other states. So our Cupreata is unique. So if you taste a Cupreata from Guerrero, like the one that you will taste tonight, is different than if you taste a Cupreata from a different state in Mexico. Ours is much better, but you will taste later. And we are gonna taste also from this slide. Let me see what is the Karwinski. Karwinski, the one that looks like a palm tree almost, that's the quiche. As you see, I'm talking about a name and then I'm giving you a second name. It's because agaves are receiving a common name and then the botanical name. So the names that you see on this slide are the botanical names, and the ones that you see most of the time on the labels of a bottle of mezcal are the common name. So Angustifolia, for example, which is espadín, and then Cupreata, which is maguey ancho, and then Karwinski, which is quiche, the one that we'll taste at the end. And then let me see if and the Marmorata, that is the second one on the lower row, yes. Marmorata, that's the Tepestate. That agave in particular is one of the most beautiful agaves, and if it's growing wild, most of the time goes to 30, 35 years just to be ready for harvest. So there are few that are able to cultivate. You can grow. It's not easy, but you can do it, and then you don't need to wait 30 years. You can even do it half of the time, like 15 years. So we please, if you have questions, put it there and then we will answer, but we are gonna keep on the next slide. So here I put it there, the common name, and then the botanical name, or the name of the spices of the type of agaves. You see that are easier, for sure, are easier the common names, like I mentioned to you, espadín is more complicated to say angustifolia, but believe me, it's like wine. To me, it's very hard to say Gewürztraminer, Pinot Noir. So are names that we have to start to get used to, or at least we have to be open to try, you know. So it's good that you are here for curiosity, or because you really feel something about mezcal, and it's good, but it's good that you know the both names. You can call it either, but it's good that you know the proper name. Okay, so let's go to the next one. This is, I guess, is the you received that printed information, so you can write down your comments. Even at the moment that we start tasting, I'm gonna mention to you the general basic on angustifolia, for example, but I always like that everybody find out their own way to describe or to get a connection with the flavors you find, the aromas that you find on the mezcal, instead of that I say to you is what exactly should be. It's good that you find a connection between this incredible liquor that is made with with the elements of the nature. So you will be ready because you will taste fire, mostly soil, lots of greens flavors because at the end agave is a plant. So you will taste lots of grass, greens, and of course it's a strong liquor. Don't expect that you won't feel anything here. You will feel it. And if you don't feel, then it's not mezcal. You have to feel it. It's part of the result of the expression of agave. The idea is that you taste many other things, not only alcohol. That's the point. Okay. So I guess we can go to the second part, where is the, I think you have that information on your, everybody I think has that information printed, so everybody can take notes when we taste. And I'm gonna go to the second PDF. Trisha, please. Yeah, thank you. Okay, you see, this is just an idea of the liqueurs made from agave that are made in Mexico. But for example, you know, tequila ready, now you are with mezcal. There are incredible bacanora in Sonora, north of Mexico, the yellow one. In Michoacán, there are sicua, and then raicilla in Jalisco. Jalisco is the home for tequila, but it's not only tequila, it's also raicilla. Then north of Mexico also is sotol, which is not from agave exactly, but it's the same way. And there are many others distilled liquors made from agave, but you see how full Mexico is with agave. So just to give you an idea of you can keep coming to Mexico, Sabrina. We have enough. We have lots. So yeah, we can go to the next, please. Okay, the meaning of mezcal. The mezcal word has a Nahuatl root that is metlixcali. Metl means maguey or agave. It's the same. If you hear people talking about agave or maguey, that's the same thing. So metl means maguey, and ixcali means baked underground or steam, or at the end, the meaning is baked agave. So that's the meaning of the word mezcal. Okay. So, okay, as I mentioned at the beginning, Mexico has the denomination of origin. That means that we are the ones able to call mezcal to the distilled liquor from agave plant. We got that denomination on late on the 90s, and we have a regulation system that has under control the production, the process, everything. When you are making mezcal, you have to follow specific steps and rules in order that you get able to label it like mezcal. Otherwise, you are not able. So the regulation group who is doing this is called Comercam. That's I just mention it because sometimes you will see that word on the label of a bottle of mezcal. So that means that the comercan was watching or taking care of the whole process. Okay, so it's very important that you know there are the types of production that we have and that are includes on the regulation. That means, what I'm meaning is that you can even be making industrial mezcal and it's okay. The regulation allows people to produce that kind of mezcal. And that mezcal, thanks God, is only very few labels on that group. And it's mezcal that I won't suggest you to drink because it's not artisanal. It's made mostly with machinery. Everything is made with a machine. So believe me, the flavors are very, very different than mezcal that is artisanal. So to be artisanal has to be following specific steps. Since the harvest, that has to be by hand, you have to clean the plant completely. One plant is used only once. When the plant, let's say, that is the espadín, that needs only 7 years to be ready for harvest. When the espadín is 7 years, start to grow in the middle of the plant, the flower, that it can be very, very tall. And that's the moment that the maker is waiting, or that's the sign, the sign that he's waiting to start the harvest. The moment of the flowers coming out. That because means that the plant gets or reach their highest content of sugars. So they cut the plant, they clean the plant, and it's used only the center of the plant that when it's clean looks like a huge pineapple. In fact, we call pineapples to, most of the time you hear people talking about pineapples when they are talking about making mezcal. And it's not because they are adding pineapples to the process. It's because the plant, when it's clean, looks like a huge pineapple. So pineapples, when are cleaned, has to be cooked. And the way that has to be cooked following the artisanal process is in a special oven. It's a clay underground, it's a hole underground where stone rivers and firewood are, and the agaves, the pineapples are put in that oven, in that special oven, and at least 3 days. Cover it completely, the oven, for 3 days. And after that, the pineapples are roasted. Imagine that. It's not like putting the pineapples in a, for example, this is a question that many people is doing, and is difference between tequila and mezcal. First, I mentioned to you that is the type of agave. The blue agave for tequila, all the others for mezcal. The second is the process. Even is the same, but tequila is made with machinery, mostly. Then the pineapples for tequila are steamed in steam injection ovens. So pineapples for mezcal are roasted underground. So the contact with fire is for 3 days. That's why mezcal has this smoky flavor that has to be light, delicate, in order that you taste other flavors. So smoky is not a flavor that you will taste in tequila, for example, because of the process. So then when you have the roasted pineapples, you have to grind it or mill it. So the way to do it is with the help of a horse. The horse is holding a big stone well, and the well is doing the grinding. So that's very, very handmade, that's the artisanal process. And after that is moved to fermentation where only water is added. And then to distillation. All mezcal is getting a double distill process, 2 times distill, all mezcal. Okay, so here to reach this point or to finish a mezcal is necessary from 20 to 28 days. So we are talking about 1 month average. Compared to tequila, tequila is being made in 1 week, mostly because and please, I don't trying that you stop drinking tequila, okay? Please don't do that. I like tequila as well, but it's just the difference between tequila and mezcal. Tequila is mostly industrial, and mezcal is mostly artisanal, okay? Then there is another type of production talking about mezcal, and is the ancestral. I never pronounced right this word, but it's from the ancestors, my ancestors, of course. So that means that instead of to use the horse to be doing the grinding, people is using a wooden mallet to smash the roasted pineapples. So it's totally by hand. Sometimes the fermentation is happening in animal leathers. The distillation is happening mostly in clay pots, and they don't use copper tubes or stainless steel tubes to do the distillation. They don't use the traditional alembic. They use it's something similar to bamboo. It's a local tree that is growing in the area. So it's only natural elements that are used for the ancestral mezcal. Okay, so we can move to the other. Okay, then the classification is kind of similar to tequila again, with a small change or difference. For example, tequila, they have white tequila. For mezcal, we call it mostly joven, talking about age. So joven is a word that you will find in labels of mezcal if you see a white mezcal. Okay, so that means that when you finish a double distillation process, goes to the bottle, you let it rest in the bottle for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and then you get it ready to drink. Okay, so that's the joven. Then this is the next one is a great mezcal that to me is superior than any añejo, for example, because it's mature in glass. It gets an evolution in glass. The way that they mature mezcal in glass is they put a big amount of mezcal in a big glass container, and they bury it underground for years. It's depending on the maker, or you decide if your mezcal is gonna be mature for 1 year or 30 years. You can keep it underground, getting that evolution, and believe me, yes, there is a big difference. It's something incredible. If you think that in time is gonna lose anything, it's not. It's getting more expression on the plant. Maybe the alcohol gets a little bit lower, but just a little bit, and then the earth and the grass and the greens from the plant goes first. It's an incredible mezcal. If you have chance to see it sometimes, try it. It's very good. Then, so mature, you won't see tequila maturing glass, for example. It's only for mezcal. The next two, you will find it in tequila and also in mezcal. Reposado, which is aged in oak for 2 months to 11 months. And añejo is from 1 year, aged in oak. And here is the same for tequila and mezcal. Reposado and añejo, same time. So that's the same. But tequila makers that are making another, they have another kind of tequila that is called extra añejo. That is tequila that goes more than 5 years age in oak. And it's something that you don't find, you won't find in mezcal. Mezcal is not over-aging any mezcal. In fact, it's hard to find añejo mezcal. Are very few people making añejo mezcal because a very traditional maker of mezcal, he never will make añejos. And you know why? Because they think that if you are harvesting an agave that spent 12, 15 years in the soil to bring special notes, flavors, and you put it in añejo, like more than 1 year aging, it's not something that they will do. At least that you have a very bad production or that something wrong happened during the process, then in order to hide the mistakes, you age your mezcal. That's the way, or that's why most of the people drinking mezcal is hard that they drink añejos or reposados. They go for the joven all the time. And then there are another two incredible mezcales. One is the avocado. That means the best way to explain this is that it's flavored with something else. It has to be a natural fruit, condiment, herb, or protein. That means that the most famous mezcal with the worms inside the bottle belongs to that category. Avocado, flavored with the mezcal. And yes, mezcal is adding an extra flavor. I mean, the worm is adding extra flavor to mezcal. It's turning spicy. When you taste mezcal with worm and without the worm, the difference that you notice is the spicy. The worms are adding this flavor to mezcal. And then there is the other one that is distilled with. And that mezcal means there is one very famous mezcal that we call Mezcal De Petruga. It's because mostly it's poultry meat, like chicken breast or turkey breast. Is in a third distillation, they are putting in contact the chicken breast with other flavors like fruits, cinnamon, cloves, condiments. So the steam that goes to the distillation process is in touch with the chicken breast and the other flavors. So this is a mezcal that gets flavors mostly from the fruits that they put. It's never tasting like chicken, believe me. In fact, the story of the chicken is incredible because it's mostly a chicken that the maker rice with the best they have, and it's a mezcal that you get it, that you order in advance, and it's a mezcal that was, the tradition start with to have a mezcal to celebrate. So if you are having a wedding, for example, or a special birthday, you rice a chicken with the best you have. You pamper the chicken, you spoil the chicken, you talk to the chicken, you transmit your feelings to the chicken. And of course, the chicken gets sacrificed because it's going to be used to make the mezcal. But the result of that mezcal, you will give to your special guests, to the grooms or bride parents, you will give to them this mezcal. You will give something from you. So that's the origin of the chicken breast mezcal. Of course, now you can find it in liquor stores, but if you look for chicken breast mezcal following the tradition, the maker is gonna ask you to bring the chicken to him, because it have to be a chicken that you rice and that you transmit something. So this is why mezcal, when you are in this world and you are in love with mezcal, that's why you are very involved, because mezcal is not just to drink and that's it. This is to learn many things, a lot of feelings, lots of beliefs, lots of spiritual connection. It's many things. So, okay, so we can keep going, please. So here, I know you are anxious to taste. So finally, we are talking, right? How to taste mezcal. There is a very particular technique to taste mezcal. And here in Mexico, there is a big marketing or promotion about the technique, and we call it the kiss technique. And it's because you have to make, like if you are kissing or going to kiss, you have to make saliva in your mouth. Exactly like you are gonna kiss. When you have saliva in your mouth, you have to put a small seed in your mouth, mix it with your saliva, and then swallow it slowly. When you swallow it, bring out the air in order to get out the extra alcohol that you don't want to keep with you. And this is an incredible technique to learn, because if you apply this technique, not only for mezcal, for anything that you sip, if you mix with saliva, believe me, you have my word, you will resist like never, because you are letting go out the extra alcohol. You are adding saliva to your body. It's water from your body to your own body. So you resist lots. But alcohol that agave creates is an alcohol that your body resist or receive better than any alcohol that you get from rice, potatoes, or any corn. Alcohol from potatoes or any grain, other grains, is giving you more troubles to your body. Talking about the hangover, that's why it's also, when you are drinking mezcal, good quality mezcal with the saliva technique and taking the time to enjoy it, it's very hard to get. One, it's hard to get drunk. Second, forget about the hangover. There is no hangover. That's why I'm drinking mostly mezcal. When I am in a party, I can empty a bottle, believe me. I mean, in a whole night, not in an hour or so, in a whole night. And I'm perfect next day. I'm working. I have 2 little boys. I have to be with them. So nothing happened to me. So once you are learning the way to enjoy mezcal, believe me, is other thing. Anyway, I think we are gonna taste finally the mezcal. I don't know if everybody has already mezcal in your glasses. And for mezcal, we're gonna apply the same, like you are tasting wine, but we won't be observing too much on the glass because we are tasting only joven or whites. So there are no colors to observe. So we are going to the second step, that is finding aromas. So the first one is the espadín or angustifolia from Oaxaca, Rey Campero. As I mentioned to you, espadín needs only 7 years to be ready for harvest. Espadín is a type of agave that brings mostly or result or remark the aroma and flavor of smoky. So I don't know if this one is gonna, because everybody is different. So maybe for me it's gonna be less smoky, but for Sabrina it's gonna be more, or is that's why I prefer that everybody write down you write down your own notes. So but it's gonna be good to at the end to see what everybody finds. So first,
Yesenia, I have one
aromas.
question before you continue, because everybody received one of these Sirians in their kit. So Yesenia sent these to us so that everybody could have one of these to drink out of. Is there a special, or which I guess I should say, which mezcal should we drink out of the gourd?
Okay, that's very good. Thank you, Sabrina. I will suggest that let the last one for the quiz for the Syrian. However, for your own tastings that you want to do by your own, I will suggest for you that always taste in a glass, and the thing that you can do is put it in the container and try to find the aromas there, and then drink it from the container. The only bad thing about the container is that as you see it, is porous, so absorb mezcal. So that's why I don't suggest that you put the last mezcal in this one since now, because it may absorb something. So put it on the container, on the Syrian, at the moment that you will taste, in order that you don't lose any drop of your mezcal, because this absorb, okay? So, but here, this is very good helping you to find aromas. So, because it's very open. So the thing that I normally do is that when I'm trying to find or to get a better idea of aromas on a mezcal, I put it here. But to drink, I'm normally do it in a glass like this, that is not too close, not too open. So the traditional shot for tequila, for example, if you don't have others, that's okay, that's fine. But it's gonna be hard to find out the aromas because it's too close. That the one that Ana has, the cognac glass, is good too, because it's helping exactly that cognac glass is good because it's open and closed at the top, so it's helping to find and you will see how different the aromas are in different containers. Okay, so the espadín is an agave that you can cultivate. 90% of the espadín in Mexico are cultivated. There are two types of agaves. The one that you go and find in the forest, the wild, and the one that you cultivate. So espadín normally brings the smoky grass, and as I mentioned to you, don't expect that you won't find alcohol. It's gonna be alcohol, smoky, and grass, okay? Most of the time, those are the aromas that you find. Then, to taste, remember the technique, saliva, put in a small sip, mix it with the saliva, swallow it slowly, and then bring out the air. I'm gonna do it with you, so salud. If you are coughing, it's normal. If any of you are that's normal, because when you do the connection of letting out the extra alcohol, sometimes if you don't do it right, start to be coughing, but it's okay. But you see, something that also you will perceive much better with the saliva technique is flavors from espadín are gonna be not too long. It has not a very long finish or permanence in mouth, but it's strong enough. I don't know if most of you taste the smoky flavor on this one, but you, or maybe mostly the grass, greens. Okay, I'm gonna show you also another technique quickly. Is something that you may see in many people that are tasting mezcal, and is putting some mezcal in your hand, like a perfume. If you don't want to do it now, I don't want that you waste your mezcal, but I'm just showing you just a little bit. And it's very important that at the end, you don't have only alcohol. It has to be something like sweet, like earthy, and that's a sign of good quality in a mezcal. When you find like a good like river, like stone rivers, like rain sometimes, ashes sometimes, is because the process. So it's normal if you see this also in people that are tasting mezcal, and I'm explaining this to you because sometimes you can hear somebody that is gonna say that is the right technique. And you know what? The right technique is the one that you find is better for you, for your sense. If you think that for you is better this, that's fine. Okay. So Sabrina, do you think we can taste the second one now, or should we see the photos of the process so they can understand, you can understand better if you see the photos of the process?
That's a good question. Let's go to the photos.
Okay.
And then also I was curious, should we be tasting the fruit and the pairings as well, or are we going to get to that later?
With the second one. I want that the first one is like this.
Okay.
You can have water in between if you want, but with the second one, we will go with the orange and the
perfect.
Yes.
Yes, I think that'll give us a chance to appreciate the espadín while we're listening to the process.
See. So here, you see the agave is taken out from soil completely. First, you see the plants on the side, the right one and the left one, you see already the leaves are cured. I was doing that. I was taking the photos. It was my certification in Oaxaca. So I was in a group of 6. We spent one day cleaning that agave. Imagine the work of doing that. It's very dangerous. But it's amazing. So you see in the middle, the trunk that start to grow, that's the moment, as I mentioned to you, that the maker is waiting for the harvest. So we were cleaning that plant. So we can go to the second, please. So that's the pineapple. That's why we call it pineapple. When you start to clean the plant completely, it start to look like pineapple. And that agave, it was a 200 kilos agave. Pineapple, I mean. The pineapple was 200 kilos. In the next photo, you will see different types of agaves. You see how small can be one compared to the larger one. That one was 200 kilos. The other ones, the smallest that you see in the photo, you can carry with your hands and put it by yourself in the oven. But the biggest, we have to cook it with it wasn't a machete, it was a hacha. How do you say hacha? Hatch? No.
An axe.
Yes.
Axe. Mhm.
So we cut it in smaller pieces in order to move it to the oven. So that's hard work. And that's the oven is a pit. I think that's the word. It's underground, and it has to be filled with firewood. It's a local good that is in the area. And stone rivers. You will see the stones in the next photo. Okay, that's where the fire, and that's the stones that are put on over the fire. You see? Oh, the name of the harvesting cutting tool, we use a machete to cut the leaves, but to take out the plant from the soil, the name is coa, C-O-A, coa. It's a very sharpy tool that is used to put it in the base of the plant in order to take it out from soil. Coa, that's the name of the tool. So the oven, exactly like that. And so the oven is filled with the pineapples, and the brown thing that you see between the smoke is a fiber from the same agave leaves. When are sun dry, are shredded, put it a little bit of water and put it in there in order to create some spin and helping the process. Okay, so that's how it's looking, the oven when it's full of agaves, and then it's completely closed.
Yeah. What does it smell like when it starts to get at this stage? Like, what kind of smells do you notice?
What kind of, I'm sorry.
What is it when it's starting at this stage, when it's actually roasting? What does it smell like? What do you?
Oh! It's very sweet. It's very, very sweet. The aromas is like it seems like you are baking, because the agave has a lot of sugars. So when you open the oven at the end and you taste a piece of a pineapple roasted, is sweet, completely sweet. So when it's at that moment, it's not a particular aroma because it's is green, and the oven has to be closed completely in order to avoid extra air entrance. And you are not looking for smoke, you are looking for a nice cook roasted agaves instead of to have too many smoke. So you don't perceive really, because you will see in the next photo how perfectly closed is the oven. It's thoroughly closed, covered with a kind of fabric, and then soil. And it's no way that many things comes out or goes in. So you have to wait for 3 days. Yes, like that. That's a moment very important for the maker. And most of them, they are sleeping there. To be taking care that there are no anything wrong. It's not going. Sometimes it may be raining, so they don't want that the rain goes inside and things like that. So they have to be there all the time.
So it looks like they cover it after they build the oven, they cover the oven, and then they put that little roof over it to protect
Yes.
from the rain.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If they don't see any chance of rain, they don't do that. But if they think, they do it. So that's how looks the roasted pineapples. Very brown. And the flavor is sweet, 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 almost like cane sugar. Very sweet. So, of course, it has to be moved from the oven to the grinding area. And that's the tool that we use for that. So that's the horse doing the grinding. And that's the taona. That's the name of the stone well. Taona. Tahona. Taona. So that is the way that they do the grinding. And after that, there is not a photo of the fermentation, but they put this in a big, good container with water. And then if you ask to the maker how long it's going to take the fermentation, they say it can be 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on the weather condition. They put their nose on the container, and at the moment that the bubbles stop, they stop the fermentation. They just wait and wait for the bubbles. And that's the distillation process. The distillation process, according to the artisanal type of mezcal, it can be brick base, copper base, clay. This one, it was brick with mud, and then the inside it was copper and stainless steel, and then the alembic, it was stainless steel. So next photo, you will see that's part of the alembic to do the distillation process. So all mezcal are having 2 distillations, double distill.
Yesenia, just to clarify, in this picture, because this was a question that we went over beforehand, these are the tanks of already fermented agave,
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yes.
so this is already fermented. It's been fermented in a different container, and they
Yes.
transfer it to these tanks,
these.
and this is where they
Yes.
distill it from.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly like that. Okay, so here is exactly what I mentioned to you already, the different process. And now I think we're gonna taste the second one, that is the Cupreata, the agave that represents my state, Guerrero. Cupreata is an agave that looks beautiful. It's smaller compared to the espadín, it's smaller, and most of the time you use it for your garden, for decoration. You can grow cupreatas, no problem, but most of the cupreatas that are used or for mezcal are wild. You have to go and find it in the mountain. So cupreatas that are wild can go easily 12, 15 years. Compared to the cupreatas that you farmed that are 8 years, 9 years. And cupreata has a particular character that is mostly citrus and wild fruits. It is gonna bring also like minerals a little bit, but fruits, tropical fruits most of the time. And so same technique for cupreata. And by the way, cupreata is an agave that is surrounded most of the time by snakes. So that's made more dangerous. To be doing the harvest of cupreata is dangerous. So there are many makers that are putting on their labels a snake. You will see snakes and agaves on some labels, and it's because of that, because cupreatas are attracting snakes. So salud. Here, you will do the same, the saliva exercise, tasting, and I will ask you to do a second sip, and then take your orange. Take your orange with the grasshopper sea salt that you have, put it on the orange. And then on the second sip of this cupreata, after you taste it, buy the orange with the special salt. And it's gonna be a very good combination of flavors. Papaya, interesting. Yeah, it's a lot of tropical fruits on cupreatas. And you know, it's like when you are talking about wines, if you are thinking in red fruits, somebody can go for cassis and blackberry, and others can go to another group of red fruits. So here is the same. For example, in my Stay Guerrero, there are tropical fruits that you like. Sometimes I find star fruits or nanche, which is a very local yellow kind of cherry that is growing here. To me, that particular fruit is cupreata, but you have a different memory talking about aromas. So it's interesting to read the flavors and aromas that you find. So you see how different is from the other mezcal, and it's mostly because of the agave. The agave is gonna bring the biggest difference in a mezcal is the plant. So flavors in one agave is gonna be very different from the other because of the plant. Okay. So then you can, if you still have mezcal of this one, you can, for example, you have the apple, you can even put a little bit of you can do both exercises. On the apple, you can put same grasshopper salt, and let the this instant coffee for the next one. So you can do the exercise with the apple, but with the special salt, the grasshopper, and you see how well the apples goes with mezcal too.
So good. Such a cooling sensation with the apple. But both of them pair so perfectly. Wow. That is impressive.
Yeah. Okay, so you want to see the ancestral technique, Sabrina, and then go to the tepestate?
I think that's perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Trisha, take it away.
Please give me 1 second.
Yes.
Okay.
You can drink water in meantime.
Do
You want?
you recommend that we drink water?
Yeah, because the tepestate is in order to don't keep the flavor of the citrus or the apple, clean it completely before goes to the tepestate. It's gonna be better because it's different. So here we're gonna go to the photos. Okay, here is the ancestral mezcal. As I mentioned to you, the biggest difference between the artisanal and ancestral mezcal is because it's made totally by hand, only using natural tools. Forget about the horse. Forget about the well doing the grinding. Is smashed by hand, fermented in wood container or animal leather, as I mentioned to you. And the distillation, you will see in the photos. But before we see the photos, in Mexico there is a big topic, the ancestral mezcal, because there are people that are asking too many questions, that how the ancestors were making mezcal before the Americans brings the distillation process, before they bring the horses to do the grinding. And yeah, it was a big research that university in Mexico did, and then they find out enough elements to say that the ancestors were making mezcal, because they found even the pots where they were doing the distillation. So you will see the photos, and that's what they find in their research. So this is a big work that they did, and you can even go to Google and you will find I think it's in English already. It's a big investigation that they did it. So it's true. The ancestors were making mezcal, yes, and I believe it, and it's a unique mezcal, by the way. So if we go to the next, that's the way that the ancestors were making mezcal. That is a very particular pot, and that's they had the most important elements to be making mezcal: the agave and the fire. Fire is I think if you have both, you can make mezcal. You find out the tools, or you create it with clay or mud, and you got it. It's like that. It was exactly like that. So how is making ancestral mezcal now? You will see the photos, and that's the way, in order that you can label a mezcal as an ancestral, has to be made as the next photos that you will see. Is this very, very handmade. So Trisha, we can go please to, that's how they smash the roasted pineapples. And then that's the way that they do the distillation. You see, it can go from clay pots completely, clay pots, and then big copper pots, but they don't, you don't see any stainless steel tubes. You see bamboos doing or bringing out the liquor, the distilled liquor. So that's the ancestral way to make mezcal. And when you taste ancestral mezcal, you really notice the difference in the flavors. Are very normally are stronger in alcohol, but flavors are more natural. This is like a earthy, mineral, sweet, but you taste the fire. Is something very good. So if you see.
Yesenia had a quick question about the ancestral method. So we don't have any of those today, but is it pretty rare to find those since it's so labor intensive?
Yeah, it's here in Mexico you find it. No, I don't know if Rey Campero, for example, which is a big imported to United States. I don't know if they have ancestral, but if they have it, it has to be good. I'm sure it's good. They are doing very good job with their mezcal. If you have the chance to find it when you come to Mexico I don't think in a duty free, but if you go anywhere in Mexico, look for, and believe me, it's gonna be great. It's an incredible mezcal.
Wonderful, thank you.
So this is the aroma well that is gonna help you to write down the aromas or flavors you taste, and it's gonna help you in the future if you keep finding mezcal in your life, that I hope you do, and so you can explore all the flavors. And I'm sorry I put it in Spanish as well, but maybe if you empty a bottle of mezcal, you will be able to speak Spanish, maybe. But it's good that you have it, and that you know how big the expression of mezcal in a bottle can be. Is incredible. So you can find flavors from here, and the map, of course. That map is in a very good magazine that is printed in Mexico, and is English and Spanish as well, both, and it's called Artes de Mexico, the magazine. And there is a special edition for mezcal or agaves, and believe me, it's very good magazine, and has Spanish and English, and brings inside the magazine this map. It's big and it's incredible. Has the whole process explained perfectly, and most of the agaves that are used for mezcal. So that's, hopefully you have the chance to have it at some point. So I think we can try the next mezcal, Sabrina. Tepestate.
Yeah,
you know,
try it.
Tepestate, something that I really like about Tepestate. Tepestate is growing only in Oaxaca, in Puebla. Puebla is a very beautiful city that is famous also because the mole, same as Oaxaca, and other Mexican dishes. But Puebla, Tepestate growing in Puebla is a little bit different than tepestate growing in Oaxaca. This tepestate that you have is from Oaxaca, and the agave is a beautiful plant, but the flowers that tepestate has are, I think, the most beautiful flowers from an agave are yellow color, and are blossoming by October. So we have a big celebration for the Day of the Dead on November 2nd. So some of the people are using the yellow flowers from tepestate for the to take to the altar for the Day of the Dead. And so tepestate are, the flowers are pollinized. That's the right word for in English. Pollinized
Pollinized?
by, oh my God, I have to drink because my English is besides the okay, it's pollinated by the this is a hummingbird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hummingbirds are pollinating the tepestates. So it's an agave that you see it blossoming. It's incredible. And the result of the mezcal is also unique. It's an agave that brings flowers, honey, sometimes can be even ash, like fire, but mixed with the flowers, with the honey, and it's an agave that if you find it wild, it's easily going to 30-35 years. So it's an agave that brings lots of flavors from the nature. So be ready for this, okay? So same technique, please, but first the nose. Anybody find like lemongrass or green or something like that? Yes, tepestate can be cultivated. If you do it, you don't have to wait 30 years. You can have it half of the time, 15, 18 years. But if you find it wild, it's gonna be very easily. They are starting in Puebla, in Oaxaca, they are cultivating tepestate already.
There's a plant. It's in English, we call it the snake plant, and it just grows tall. Every once in a while it flowers, and it's got these really very different like long stalk of flowers. It doesn't happen all the time, but that's what this smells like. It's almost like jasmine and rose, and like even something like some more subtle, but it's really, it's amazing. This is my favorite.
You know what? When you love tepestate, careful, because you will be a fan of tepestate, and then it's not easy to find it. That's why I say, so you have to come to Mexico and try tepestates. I really like tepestates as well. So with this tepestate, you can either do the orange or the apple, and try with the apple with the instant coffee. In fact, I know everything pairs with chocolate, but believe me, chocolate with mezcal, same time, is great. Any mezcal, any type of agave with chocolate, it goes so good. I love it.
I'm going to be going to Oaxaca, Yesenia in September.
Are you?
I am.
Great, great. Careful because you may decide to stay.
I probably will. I probably will.
There are much to see in Oaxaca. Is, you know, even for us as Mexicans, and Ana can tell you this, I'm sure she's agree with me. Going to Oaxaca, for me, is like even going to another country. Do you find ingredients that only in Oaxaca are growing, flavors that are only there? So when you go to the city, immediately you are in love of the city because the aroma that is in the ambience is chocolate. Imagine that. You are walking and chocolate is everywhere. So you want to live there. And then you find mezcal. So, right,
Yeah, I
Ana?
agree. It's magical. I was just there a few weeks ago and I fell in love with it again.
Yes, I know. So far we are good.
Very good.
Okay.
Surprised with the apple and the
And the coffee.
instant coffee. Wow.
Yeah,
What an exciting pairing.
I know. So ready for the quiz? Okay, Karwinskis the Agave, which is the one looking like palm tree almost. It's tall trunk. Karwinski is the most versatile type of agave because depending on the size of the agave, on the shape of the leaves, it's gonna receive a different common name in different areas in Oaxaca. It's mostly growing in Oaxaca. So Karwinski groups is big, and Quiche belongs to one of the type of Karwinskis. Quiche, in fact, means the meaning is coming from a dialect or a language that is Zapoteco, and is the meaning is a person that is shaggy is the word when you are like with the hair
Shaggy or curly?
and no, it's like when you don't brush your hair when you are like, is that the word, shaggy?
Oh yeah, kind of like if you don't brush your hair at all, it's just
exactly.
You can have shaggy hair for sure.
Exactly. So that's in fact the meaning of quiche is despeinado is like that.
Oh, uncombed.
Yeah, it's because the agave, the leaves of this particular type of Karwinski, the leaves are on everywhere. It's like all directions. So it looks like that. So that's why I received that name quiche. Then on the Karwinskis, you will find Madre quiche, that is same, but madre means mother, so it's taller than the quiche. So it's an incredible varieties on Karwinskis and are a little bit similar from the other, but it's unique because Karwinski brings sweet aftertaste, mineral, and normally you get mezcal that is higher in alcohol content, but never compete with the flavors of the plant. So that's very important that you taste the flavor of the plant, not only the alcohol. So please, salud with the Karwinski, quiche.
Salud.
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 You know, I pour my Karwinski. Oh, and remember, pour your Karwinski after the first sip, put it on your container. So you do the exercise with the container of your quiche and see, do the exercise to the aromas are gonna be better perceived. In fact, if you touch the base of your container, start to be cold. This is something that Syrian is the name that we give to this container, Syrian. Syrian gives to the anything you put here. It can be chocolate, it can be a gazpacho. You can use it for not only for a drink, but for a food. Syrian, that's the name that we give it. So it's cold, and I like because keep a nice temperature on mezcal, but don't wait too long because you will waste your mezcal. And this Syrian is a tree that gives this fruit. It's not edible. It's like the inside is like summer squash pulp. So all the pulp goes out. You let it dry, and it can go bigger. I have my own for a special occasion that is this big, believe me. And when I say special occasion, mezcal, as I mentioned to Sabrina, mezcal is to celebrate, to recover for any sadness, to be happy, to get a connection with your soul. Believe me, to me, mezcal rescue me in many ways. I mean, it's just magic. I don't know. It's maybe if any of you is first experience with mezcal, and it's normal if you think it's strong and that the flavors are not for you. But I always say give a second chance and try it again. See how well goes in your body. Like you don't get drawn, you don't have a hangover. Mezcal, you can use mezcal for cocktails. My only suggestion on using mezcal in a cocktail is don't waste a plant that spent 12, 15, 20 years in soil in a cocktail. But you can use a espadín, which is 7 years. Is a type of mezcal that you can use in a margarita, for example. Instead of tequila, you can put espadín. You can marinate like a tuna a little bit, and then stir whatever you want to crush your tuna, and then stir it, and gives an extra flavor. You can flambe dessert with mezcal. Like now we are here in mango season, so we flambe normally mangoes with mezcal, and gives this smoky from mezcal into the mangoes with the butter and caramel, and it's very nice. So you can use mezcal not only as a pre or after dinner. You can have it for your cocktail or for your food. It's very good remedy for any stomachal problem. If you think you eat something that it was too much, or the quality was half mezcal, and it's gonna be perfect your stomach, believe me. That's why we say that we drink mezcal for everything. When everything goes well, mezcal. When everything goes bad, the same. We have mezcal for anything.
So you can tell that Yesenia is very passionate about mezcal, and if you are interested in hearing more about how deep her passion is, if you listen to her interview, we express we get to hear more. We get to hear more. So definitely explore that. So Yesenia, I have a question for you. When do we get to try the wonderful Viennese chocolates? This is like not Mexican chocolate, but Italian chocolate that we actually have at La Spiga, and it's a chocolate covered wafer. So when should we try this one?
Now,
Now is the time. Okay, great.
now, and I didn't want to try it at the beginning on the middle because chocolate goes so well with mezcal, and I really wanted that you find first all the flavors and aromas of mezcal without the chocolate, in order that you don't get too in love with the combination, so you have your mind clear, and now you can combine it, and it's great. Chocolate with mezcal is great.
Yesenia, I'm wondering if there's a mezcal that you tasted once that like captured your heart for the rest of your life.
Oh,
Like
you know what?
the mezcal that got away, you know.
You know what? There are no only one. I have like in different moments of my life. I have, for example, one, and I still have a couple of bottles of that mezcal, and it's a mature mezcal in glass, and it's a mezcal that is 19, it has 35 years mature in glass. So that is one that I like it a lot. So I have it, and I have a sip of that mezcal. I mean, I put it a little bit on my glass once in a while when I am too happy or too sad or whatever. But I really remember two labels. One is the Mano Negra that I tried the very first time when I started getting into the mezcal world. As I mentioned to Sabrina, I was pregnant, so I was not able to drink at all. So I was reading, talking to mezcal makers, and I have to wait until I have my baby, finish my nursing. First drink or first alcohol I had, it was mezcal, and it was that one in particular. And that's why, doesn't mean that maybe if I'm talking about the quality, I will prefer another one, but that one to me means something unique. Then I try an incredible mezcal that is chicken breast mezcal from Oaxaca, and it's like the color is like rosé wine. It's like blush, that's the word. It's pink a little bit because it's a mezcal that has cochinilla de grana added. Cochinilla de grana is an insect that attacks the cactus, and is used to get natural color, no flavor, no aromas. So you add it to mezcal to add color, a very nice pink or red color, just a little bit, and it's a mezcal that is I'm trying to find. It's not here. I have to go to Mexico City and buy it there.
Can you
So,
tell me how to
but
spell
it's
that?
I
What
like
is
it.
the name? Oh, sorry. What is the name of that animal again?
I will write it here.
Okay.
It's
Because I think there's a similar liquor in like liqueur in Italy that might use that same insect.
Alipus. Alipus is the brand. Alipus, that's the brand. You may see Alipus with different agaves, but the chicken breast or Mescal De Petruga, what is the meaning? Chicken breast mezcal, and is entintado con Cochinilla grana. It's like colored with the cochinilla de grana. That's the name of the insect that is used to get the color.
I have another question for you. Sometimes when it comes to natural resources, there's a lot of politics involved. So how has Mexico really protected, and from a political point of view, the tradition of mezcal? What has been involved with like protecting that, or even just cultivating that, especially since there's other places where agave grows. So I'm curious about that, because food and drink and politics, that's always an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Here in Mexico, unfortunately, the government is not having, unfortunately, and maybe for you, you will think it's thanks God, but government is not involved in the alcohol. They are not helping the producers at all. Nothing. Everything that is happening is because their makers are getting together. They create their own cooperativas, they call it like that, and they help each other. They create their own rules, and they create the Comercan, the regulation, in order to keep under control their process, and that not everybody wants to make a mezcal without following the tradition. First, you can be making mezcal if you have the plan, the tools, and the technique, if you learn the technique, but no, you won't be having the same respect that other that is been making mezcal for generations, and that receive the palenque, which is the distillery where it's been making the mezcal. If you receive that as a heritage from your ancestors, you have a name already to protect. In fact, a bottle of mezcal has a name and a last name. If you do something wrong, it's not only you, it's all the generations behind you. So that's why it's not like everybody making mezcal. And yes, in Mexico, there are people from United States mostly that are already living in Oaxaca, for example. They just decide to live in Mexico. Some of them are having a family in Mexico already, and they have been adopted by Mexico, but they are mostly married to a woman that received the palenque already. So you have to be very involved in the process, not only because you learn how to do it, but because you have it in your blood. But yeah, no, Mexico government is not helping really, unfortunately.
And then they don't benefit from any of the sales of the mezcal?
Okay, there are a big truth that I have to tell you is that there are two types of mezcal. Like when you come to Mexico, you will find the mezcal in the liquor store that is gonna be 800 pesos, 1,000 pesos, and you may find the same or better if you buy it directly from the small maker without the stamp of the government, and it's gonna be 400 pesos. The one that you buy in 1,000 pesos, you will buy it in 400 pesos. mostly because of the taxes. Yes, the government is making money on the taxes, but because they don't really they haven't been giving the importance to the mezcal production. They just want the money that they collect from the taxes. That's it. They don't care, in fact, if the small producers are selling mezcal without the taxes. It's not a you are not breaking the law if you buy it. That's allowed here. Only if you are gonna be selling that in a big hotel or in a big restaurant, you have to buy it on the paying taxes and everything. But if you want to buy it for your own, you can buy it without the stamp of the taxes. At the end, the taxes is not going to the maker, it's going to the government.
That's awesome.
I'm curious too, as a woman, what has been your experience to become a mezcalier as a woman? Or is it, I know that the matriarch is really important in Mexico. So I'm curious about that dynamic with your experience,
Yeah, I was talking to Sabrina about it, that women in the whole process have been forever involved. Women have been helping during the process all the time, but because it's a very hard physical work to do, have been mostly been made by the men. But now you see lots of women in Mexico now involved in the whole process. And when I decided to become a mezcalier, it was because, as I say before, I was so in love with the stories, with the tradition. I met some of the makers, and they were talking to me too much about their brands and the flavors. So I just was reading about it, listening to them about it, and believe me, I was like a boy in front of a candy store. I really wanted to taste, but I wasn't able to do it. So when they offered me to become a mezcalier, I say, of course, I want to be part of the project. And at that moment, on 2010, 11, it wasn't the certification, it wasn't happening yet. The makers created, in order that a group of people receive a training to be helping others to understand mezcal. No matter if you don't like at the end, but you will understand why it tastes like this, why cause this or that. Why? Because an agave 7 years is not the same an agave of 20 years. The process, the technique, so all that information really, I was so in love, so I decided to do it. I did it, and I'm just fascinated, as you may see.
And you're
And
a great
and
ambassador for Mescal. I mean, they couldn't have chosen a better candidate to support in your journey. So yes, thank you for that. Go ahead. I cut you off though. You were saying.
no, and then you know, the goddess of mezcal is a woman. It was the god or the goddess that represent mezcal is a woman, and her name is Mayahuel. And so imagine if is the mother of mezcal a woman, then we are there.
When you drink mezcal, is there a traditional toast? And then I see Ingrid has their hand raised, like a traditional toast.
There are many, and you know what? I'm not very good learning the the tradition of but it's ¿cómo era? Arriba, al centro y para adentro. Something like that.
I'm gonna jump on this one. It's
Maybe Ana knows. Ajá.
Arriba, abajo,
Abajo, al centro y para adentro.
para adentro.
Ajá. Yeah.
Up, down,
Up,
the
down,
center,
center,
and then
inside.
I love
Up,
it.
down, center, inside.
Yes.
So it looks like we have a few minutes left. Does anybody else have any questions for our wonderful guests this evening?
Ingrid does.
I had one. Hi, everyone.
yeah.
This is fantastic. Thanks to everybody who organized this, and thank you for sharing your knowledge today. My question was, I've always been really interested in the opportunity to go visit and see the process in person. And I wondered if you had any recommendations on like a sustainable and a good way to go do that, time of year, where to go do that. Yeah.
The best, I think the best place to go and see the whole process, and mostly for you that are far away from here, is Oaxaca. Oaxaca City, that's you will see most of the types of agaves. You will see it close, you will see the difference, you will taste. They have a big program, recorridos, tours, that where they take you to see the whole process. And it's, you know, I think it's round year. You can go between now, it's gonna be better if you go between June and November. So you may have the chance to see the fiesta they have that they call Guelaguetza. That's something unique. So you can have the chance the opportunity to do both. Yeah, Oaxaca. Oaxaca is I will say that you can be here in Guerrero, but there is not a big program or tours programs like Oaxaca, for sure.
That's great. Thanks. Could you go kind of combine Dia de los Muertos and see Mezcal?
Oh, sure. Yeah. In fact, you know, what if you go to Oaxaca, it's like going to France, talking about wines. There is, you know, there are many areas, like if you go Burgundy, Bordeaux, Champagne, Cognac, there are unique microclimates where specific agaves and techniques are happening. And if you go to the other side, it's going to be same agave, but different techniques. So the flavors are very different. So Oaxaca is the place. For
Awesome.
sure.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I just remember because I spent some time with Yesenia in Zihuatanejo in November, and that's how I got to know her, and had a wonderful course, and it was a very intimate setting, so I got to ask all the questions I wanted to. But one thing that I was wondering, because you did mention the flower, and just looking at the agaves with that very thick stem coming out of the top, I didn't imagine it to be exactly that big. But what you told me back then was that those flowers, or once the agave flowers, then it dies. And so it's very sustainable to be harvesting the agaves at that point. And then also that they collect the seeds from the flower and try to cultivate them. So all is that right? Did I get that right? I did.
Yes.
Okay. And this was fascinating to me. And
Yes,
so so all agaves cannot be cultivated, but they still try, you know, even with the flower, they collect the seeds and they try to cultivate it that way.
Yes. In fact, the agave, when it's 3 years old around, has lots of new babies surrounding the plant that are called hijuelos. So the the new agaves, the new babies are replanted, but you are not able to keep doing years and years because you may lose some of the genetic information of the plant if you keep just replanting the same from the other. So that's why the best way to keep the quality and the genetic of an agave is getting from zero, starting from zeros, getting seeds and start from seeds. And yes, there are now there are more people that are receiving a full a professional training as a, for example, agronomists. Then they are specialists on agaves, so they are teaching the makers how to cultivate some type of agaves in order that they don't disappear. Because and yes, again, the government is not helping, is the people who are trying to protect some particular type of agaves or spices to keep it more longer time, otherwise are gonna be gone.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. I had one more comment, and that was concerning the avocado type of tequila. And we had an opportunity to try 2 different avocados while we were there. One was with marijuana.
Marijuana, yes.
Marijuana. And the other was with a wasp.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, unless somebody has any other comments, I would love to be able to close with the story of the wasp. But before you talk about that, this was it was a giant wasp, and we tasted side by side 2 different mezcals. One was both by the same maker. One was with the wasp and without the wasp, but otherwise they were exactly the same. And to your point, Yesenia, about, how, the insects do add an actual flavor to the mezcal. We were able to taste it real time. And it was the one with the wasp was so much more earthy.
Yeah, in fact, the mezcals that you taste, it was avocado or flavored with the wasp, and the other one was distilled with the marijuana.
Okay.
The wasp is a spider wasp. Remember that it was big, and is in Mexico. We have, I believe, that particular wasp is curing people when are suffering about love, and so there is a recipe for that. In fact, you can buy the wasp, and you have to follow in the recipe to get cured about the bad love problem. But the maker of this mezcal decided to put the wasp into the mezcal in order to make the effect faster or at least easier to take. And of course, if you are not suffering about love, you don't need to eat the wasp. But the recipe to get cured about love is to roast the wasp, grind the roasted wasp, and the powder of the wasp, you have to eat it once a day in your food or in your drink. And by the time that you finish, you are cured about a love problem. That's just a story in Mexico, and that's why the wasp is in that bottle. And you tasted the flavor changed completely because the wasp is sacrificed, is put it alive into the bottle of mezcal. So it's earthy, it's like a mushroom, it's like flavors are different. Yeah. So yes, Ingrid, if you go to Oaxaca, be ready to taste many ingredients. And I don't know, I don't remember his name, but I see Ingrid. Ingrid is I think is
Adam.
Adam.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
gonna go. I'm 8 months pregnant, so I haven't tasted any of it, but
We saw your
Oh.
interview and you said you fell in love with mezcal pregnant. So
we
That's
watched
right.
the interview.
she's
Yeah.
getting all the education and not the tasting, but we'll go to Oaxaca and she'll get both.
You know what? I really believe that there is a connection between agaves and a newborn. And there is a drink in Mexico that is called pulque. Pulque, pulque, and it's white and it's looks like milk a little bit. And in my ancestors were feeding newborns with pulque. And in fact, the doctor just told me that if I give my babies pulque instead of formula milk, from they will be healthy forever. And I say, I find out this information too late. But anyway, I really believe that there is a connection on the fertility and the agaves. I was so in love with mezcal when I was pregnant and I wasn't able to drink. And as I mentioned about Mayahuel was the goddess that represents mezcal. She had 400 breasts. So there is a story that she has 400 babies, and the babies were represented by rabbits. So you see some photos of Mayahuel, the goddess, with 400 rabbits feeding, and the gods give to Mayahuel the power of be converted to agave due to the fertility that she had. So, you know, I can be talking about mezcal the whole night, and there are many stories, and I think that there is a big so be careful, because you may be in love with mezcal and be anxious to try.
I think we are. Our baby, it was funny because I said, as I was like, because I ate all the fruits and everything, and I would smell them, and the baby just started kicking a ton.
Oh.
And another fun thing, our nursery, we have all these animals from Oaxaca in it that we got when we were in Mexico.
Enchufe? Stuffed
Like
animals.
stuffed animals.
I don't know how to say it, but
That's lovely.
That is so cool.
But
Yeah.
so as we sign out, I want to be aware of everybody's time, but I would love for everybody to hold up the bottle of their favorite mezcal, and we're going to snap a quick photo if you guys don't mind.
Let me
Interesting.
unpin Yesenia, and then we will all be able to be seen.
She's unpinned. I unpinned her.
Okay.
Yes.
That is so funny. Everybody did a different one.
All right. You got this, Trish?
No, hold on just a minute.
Oh,
Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right, we got it.
awesome.
Great. You see how different is every, that's why I love mezcal, because it's, and you know what, maybe tomorrow you will decide that quiche is for a different occasion, and Cupreata for another, and Tepestate for others. So it's mezcal, I pair mezcal with feelings, with moments. It's great. And I'm happy that you like it, and that you enjoy it, and that this may help you with, I'm reading the comments. Nancy, thank you for your comments. And I'm very happy. I was very nervous about this. I have to say it, because I did, during the pandemic, I did 2 virtual tastings, but for Mexicans. I mean, it was people in Cancun, in Los Cabos, and in Mexico City, in Cuernavaca, but it was Spanish, and for me it was like but now I was like nervous because, and I always prefer to see people in person, but now you have to come to Mexico and I may give you many mezcal, mucho mezcal.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Yesenia. I would love for you to put your Instagram in the chat, just in case somebody wants to get in touch with you. We'll stay on for a little bit longer, just in case anybody has any final questions. But in the meantime, I wanted to say good night to everybody that has to leave. And thank you so much for joining us and for supporting Future of Diversity. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night.
Gracias.